Welcome to the Woman's Hustle, Thrills and Spills of Entrepreneurship, where we keep it real about what it takes to build, grow, and thrive. You'll hear the unfiltered journeys of women entrepreneurs from everywhere. This road ain't always pretty. From battling self-doubt to juggling responsibilities and facing the pressures to have it all figured out, this hustle can be pretty heavy. That's why this space exists, to fuel you with the motivation, drop strategic gems on the topics that matter most, and remind you you are not in this alone. This is the Woman's Hustle. What up, y'all? Welcome back to the Woman's Hustle, Thrills and Spills of Entrepreneurship. It's your girl, Coach K. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you have hit that subscribe button on the Upgraded Mindsets Media channel, and make sure you have favorited this podcast on your favorite streaming platform so you don't miss the new episodes because they are flowing in. And today's is going to be no different. Listen, you guys know if you follow me at any point in time, if you listen to any of my shows, you know I am big on key. And this episode, we are going to talk a lot about that. So if you see me on screen, then you see I am not here by myself. So I'm going to allow my guest the honor of introducing herself. Hello.
Hello. Thanks for having me on, Coach K.
Thank you for being here. Please let the listeners know who you are and a little bit about what you do.
Sure thing. I am Carol Tice, and I built and sold a paid community. I founded it in 2011 and sold it in 2021 for life-changing money. And now I travel in my RV full time and teach other people how to do that at my new community, which is Community Growth Academy over on Skool.
I love it. I love
So
it. And
that's
we
what I'm up
love the
to.
Skool platform, you guys. So if you have not checked out Skool, there are so many platforms, including the Upgraded Mindsets Women's Circle over there as well. So make sure you guys check that out. But we will get into more of that later. Carol, please tell us a little bit about the backstory behind the business, the community building in 2011, and what prompted you to sell it 10 years later?
Great question. That's sort of a real two-part question here. So, because those are 11 years apart from each
Right.
other.
Absolutely.
But so a lot happened in between. It sort of happened in this organic way. First of all, my background is that I'm a business reporter, so I've spent a lot of time talking to business owners and things. And I was a staffer for 12 years, and then I was freelancing. And I started a blog because, like, blogs had kind of just started happening. It was, like,
Mhm.
2008, and I was looking for ways to monetize it, and I joined a paid community for bloggers. And as soon as I got in it, I was just like, "Wow, this is amazing. I love it, and there's nothing like this for freelance writers, and there really should be."
Mhm.
And so that sort of my wheels started to slowly turn. It was maybe 2010, and the blog started to blow up. A few influential bloggers discovered it, and I just kept having that in my head that I should do community. But back then, this was a very complex technical
Right.
undertaking. The schools and Kajabis and circles of the world did not
That
exist
part.
at all. You were talking about finding a series of, WordPress plugins that would all talk to each other and be updated constantly. And I knew that I didn't have the technical chops for that. I had figured out how to do my blog. Like I could put up
Right.
a photo and push publish on my post. It was pretty simple. And I knew this would be a lot more complicated. But I ended up going to an online business conference put on by the late Liz Strauss in Chicago. And I got very inspired and fired up to that. I have to stop just musing about this idea. I've, got whatever, 700 blog
Right.
subscribers, and I need to make this all worth my time because I was spending tons of time on the blog and had dabbled with different, ads, paid webinars, and things. I was still looking for what the business model of this would be on this kind of the side of my freelancing. And I just came home from that conference, and in 90 days, I polled my people, what do you want built? Hired the webmaster from that blogging community to set it up because he was, like, the only one I knew who would know how to do it, and in 90 days, it was open,
That's all.
and just kind of I think it cost maybe 3 grand or something that I went out of pocket on, So I guess I was willing to bet that much on myself.
Uh-huh.
I felt like doing surveys of your people about what they want,
Right.
people, it's magic. You
It
will feel so much more able to take actions
take
that
that
you
note,
might
y'all.
not
Take that
have
note.
otherwise taken, which was
Yeah.
me. I was not taking action, not taking. And then I finally said, "Hey, I'm thinking about opening this community. What would you pay? What would you like inside it? How
Mhm.
often should we have events?" And just then you just deliver what they tell you, and you say that thing we've been talking about and that you took my survey about, and you looked at the names I was thinking of, and all the chatter we've been doing, what I call
Mhm.
pre-marketing, where you're just kind of you don't have anything to sell yet. You're just letting people know you are creating a thing, and you kind of suck them in and get them pregnant with the idea that this is going to be something great for them.
Right.
And then the marketing part is that thing you wanted that you told me about and we've been talking about. It's here now and you can have it. And that was really key for me because as a journalist, I had never sold anything to anyone and had been raised to believe that, the sales side of the publication was the dark side of the force.
Mm.
And, that selling was dirty and evil. And,
Right,
I
right.
had to find my marketing sweet spot
Yeah.
where I felt not sleazy doing it and
Right.
felt okay with it, and it felt organic to me. And almost everyone else in my space came
Mhm.
out of, like, copywriting and direct response they were all marketing people.
Right, right.
And I think in the end that this difference that I wasn't a hard seller, I wasn't gonna grind you on 2-hour webinars and say, "Oh, you need to join right in this call or else the world explodes." I wasn't gonna be that person. That attracted people who hate that,
Yeah,
who do not enjoy that being sold in that way.
yeah.
So that, is how it got started. It grew, it hit a couple of plateaus. We ended up closing the doors to create scarcity and exclusivity, and also just because
Right.
administratively being always open and always onboarding people is takes a lot of energy away from
Absolutely.
creating new courses and events and serving the members, just being able to be in forums, asking answering questions, and so it really worked in every way to not be always open for a long time. I started to get approached about selling it.
Mm.
And at the first minute that that happened, I was not thinking about selling it.
Right.
My kids were still in high school and, you know, I was still rolling along and making lots of money and, you know, uh, but but around the second or third time somebody asked me, I started to get a little curious about I was like, "Well, what would this process be like?" And they were like, "Oh, we have a sheet you fill you out." I'm like, "Well, send it over. Let me take a look at that." And that was a really good idea because buyers of online businesses think about their businesses in a very different way
Right.
than original founders do. And that's when I started to get educated about how buyers would think about my business and what kind of multiple what would I get? What
Mhm.
could I get for my business? And for those who haven't been involved in the M&A world of mergers and acquisitions, they usually are on a multiple of net income.
Mm.
So that's like, what are you taking home as the founder? And a lot of businesses get like 1x. Like if you're running a restaurant that makes a half a million a year, they're going to
Yeah.
give you a half a million to walk away. Brick and mortar businesses don't tend to get a good multiple. Know what does, Kay? Recurring revenue online businesses
Yes, it does.
get a
Yes,
better
it
multiple.
does.
So I was not really tuned into how much buyers crave our monthly recurring revenue. They love it, they want it, lots of interest in it. And that's one of the reasons the community model is so great.
Yeah.
Is you've got that you can demonstrate that just month after month, people pay the membership. And yeah, people come and people go, but like it's growing overall, and you can forecast what you will have to work with in this business. And as you can imagine, when you're a buyer just coming in cold to a new business, that's very, very appealing. I did all the math on 1,000 members and knew that I needed to grow it more if I wanted to sell it because that wasn't going to be a number that would be worth quitting
Mhm.
for. I ended up doing some business consulting because I wasn't really sure what to do. And I worked with a woman who was fantastic and gave me really smart insights that I followed to successfully sell. What she pointed out was that over the many years of running this, I had gotten kind of scattered. I had a lot going on. I had a co LLC with another writer coach friend of mine. So over in the corner, sometimes I was selling that thing. I had created a upsell. I had a small group coaching, double your income as a working successful freelance writer kind of thing. And of course, I was the coach of that. So that's going to disappear.
Right.
That revenue I was working hard to get in to do those groups because that was sort of my passion, was really taking people who already know how to do it, but they're just kind of undervaluing themselves,
Right.
don't have marketing discipline. Like I can totally double their income. And it was really fun and exciting to do that and sometimes double it again, but that was gonna go poof, disappear. So I ended up ending that LLC and putting that small group coaching double your income program into a box, into self-serve, so that it could become a product that was
Mm,
a value in the sale and would live on without me. And that all really helped. And basically the mantra just became all roads lead to the den. Only ask is join the den. That's it. And once we got that focus, obviously, and stopped doing all our side projects, I was able to drive it up. And also, as this went along came COVID.
yeah.
Really right as I was going into selling it, which
Yeah.
was a great thing
Yeah.
for my business,
Right, right. I get
not
it.
for a lot of
I
businesses.
get it. I get
And this
exactly.
is a big thing to know about building a business to sell it, is that there's an inflection point and another one, there's timing to that. And it was horrible to be in like the very beginning of COVID where you just didn't know if you were going to live or die or what was, we were all just trapped inside.
Right.
And I was never in a room with the people I sold to, but the numbers on the business looked great because when people get laid off, they all want to become freelance writers. They're
Mm,
like, "I'm done working for the man. This is it. I've been laid off 3 times and I hate it." So membership was going up, and it was a good time, but also just an insane
yeah.
time, but it was the time. So, I think you asked, why did you decide to sell it? So, besides getting interest, which is a good indicator
Right.
that you have something saleable,
Absolutely.
I had kind of a sense of an ending a couple years down the road from first being asked, where I felt like I had taught what I knew, like every angle of how to get a better job, get a raise, overcome fear as a writer. It was all in there.
Yeah, yeah.
And now we were at the point where kids were starting to graduate, and we were in a big house that was sort of their high school house, and we were going to downsize and travel and things, and so it just seemed like the end of a chapter
Yeah.
for me, and also I saw the burnout coming, and,
Mm,
obviously, it was incredible to be able to sustainably operate
right.
this for 12 years, and most people cannot pull this off because first, they don't take their Sabbath off, like I have always done. I take my Shabbos off. I'm offline 1 whole day every week of my life, and I delegated and paid a team well to help me, so it wasn't all me, and that's the other thing buyers wanna know. How many hours a week do you spend
Mhm.
on this business? Because 'Cause you're gonna go away, and I'm gonna have to either do that or find someone to do that. And so you want over time in your business to be driving that down, that your personal hands-on having to do stuff
Yeah,
time should be going down so that you can be like, I just kinda come in if I feel like it. There's a couple I take a meeting with the
yeah,
team once a week. You want it to sound like there's not a lot of, not I'm working 80 hours a week in this business. It's crazy. They
yeah,
wanna hear, yeah, there's a team, and I just learned there's a lot of documenting of your business that buyers want that we don't necessarily do. I mean, mine was like a hobby gone mad. I just started it because I started my blog because I wanted writers to stop getting scammed and, get
right.
paid what they were worth. And I was kind of on a crusade to change my industry.
Advocating, I
And
love it, I love it.
yeah, there was a big advocacy piece to it, and I wasn't, like, running monthly P&L, profit and loss statements. I was, like, doing my taxes at the end of the year and going,
Right.
this seems like it's working out great. I'm living in a 5-bedroom house on Lake Washington. I think things are good. I
Yeah,
wasn't breaking down like the ratio of like what percent of income was net and what's the lifetime value of a customer? How long do people stay in the
right.
community? The the buyer is just gonna be like metric, math, insanity.
Mhm.
They are gonna try to get every possible metric out of you about the business that they can so they can
Right.
understand it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So they can understand the business and how it operates. How often do you do membership open campaigns and how long do they last and what do you say? Where's the file of past emails I can crib from? And yeah, you need to what are the written job descriptions of each of your team
Right.
members? Where's your operations manual that says how you do everything you do? If
Whew.
any of those questions frightened you, they did me. Yes. And a lot of that had to be created kind of during the sale process for
Yeah.
us. And this is why I built a course called Built to Sell that I put into Community Growth Academy so that other people could maybe get more ahead of this than I was. I knew enough that I had to take myself out of the branding.
Yeah.
So that happened pretty early on. That went out of the blog and out of the den where I just was like, our founder is this person, at the bottom of some about page. And
Right, right.
I wasn't the branding. Yeah. And
Listen.
this is a big debate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. About are you doing a personal brand? Everyone's like,
Oh,
it's all about your
absolutely.
personal brand now. Well,
Absolutely.
I was in a school conversation on schoolers recently where people were like, "Do you have a big picture of your face on the header of your school or not?" And everyone was like, "It's my face. Totally. I am it. I am all that." And I was just like, "Hmm, okay." Because that is not a saleable thing so
Yeah.
much. Yeah, you really wanna build something that could live on without you. I mean, even if you never wanna sell it, what if you'd like to just go
Fall back.
backpack across Europe for a month? It sh
Exactly.
it
Yeah.
should be able to run without you
That
for
is
the
a
most part.
ooh, that right there, listen, y'all. She done unpacked so much information. I hope y'all got a notebook, a pen, and highlighting because if you don't, you better go back and listen to this at slower speed because Carol done gave y'all so much game in this conversation. I really need y'all to take heed to that. It's so much to unpack from that because I really like you speaking from the marketing perspective. You're right about that. And that's something that I had to learn just starting off. Oh, I'm the face. I want to be the face. I want to be the face. I'm the face that upgraded mindsets is the brand.
Right
Am
on.
I a part of that? But upgraded mindsets, if I choose, like you said, to take off 6 months, there's still going to be things that are relevant for upgraded mindsets media, upgraded mindsets women's circle, upgraded mindsets with the business hub here in my city that I run with women business owners inside. So I attest to
Yeah,
that so much. Like I don't want to be the face. I'm the face, but I don't want to be the face. That makes so much sense,
absolutely. When
right?
I started the den, I was on every podcast we
Yeah.
did and stuff, and eventually I trained somebody up and I had them do them. I was not on the vast majority of them.
You talk a
And
lot
yeah,
about the ecosystem of business, and I really appreciate your vulnerability and transparency when it was time to sell, how you had to really there were things that you knew weren't done that you had to get those done, because when we hear people like things like, you selling a business, one would be like, "Oh, she's got it all together." You were scrambling like, "Hey, I gotta get this. I gotta make sure I got this together." This is real life, people. This is what the thrills and spills is all about. She
I
had to get
yeah,
things in order last minute per se, but it really drove. I also love what you talked about when you were like, simplifying some things. You had a lot of moving pieces at one point and you really sat back, reflected and was like, "Okay, I've got to simplify some things either from selling it or not selling it." I still feel like that you figured that you had to simplify,
yeah,
a
too many
lot of things.
directions.
Yeah. And I think that's important. We have passions. We have purpose that we start with, like, yes, this is what I want. But scaling requires sometimes amplifying things, involves sometimes modifying things, it involves sometimes bringing some things back. I love that you were very open into doing that.
Yeah, you have to get really focused
Mhm.
and just having that lens of like, "Oh, they're not going to care about this thing
Right.
I built." A lot of us, I think, who build online businesses online, we have a lot of ideas and we are iterating constantly. We put on 3, 4 new courses a year.
Yeah.
We were constantly cooking up new useful, how can I be useful? How can I be what's the most useful thing right now? Oh, a class about this. I'm going to make it. Just constantly wanting to over deliver and deliver a lot of value for
Yeah.
members. And you can end up with a lot of stuff floating
Yeah.
around, and after a while, it's like you can't promote all of it and you can't do all of it well,
Right.
you
That's
know?
a fact. That's
So
a
you
fact.
have to decide like what's important in here.
Yep.
And what was important to me was that the den live on,
Yeah.
that it get a buyer that I thought could keep it going, would get it, kind of get what we were doing.
Right.
And it I think is an interesting testament to the treasure trove of materials for writers that we created, that it's now been sold 3 times, I believe.
Mm.
My buyer flipped it in 90 days, even though
Oh,
my broker promised me that would not happen, to someone who didn't do a lot with it, shall we say, and I'm hearing through the grapevine that they have also now sold it. Like, if you think about legacy at all
mhm.
and what's my purpose on earth? What will live on after me? What am I leaving this world? How am I leaving this world better than I found it? Building a business you can sell. It's been 5 years now, and I still get people email me on LinkedIn, "I just joined the den, and I'm so excited. Thank you for making this resource."
Yeah.
And a lot of times they didn't even seem to realize that I'm not in it anymore
Right.
because either, like, they can see my comments and
Yeah.
everything and all the courses that I did and that a lot of other experts were brought in to do, which is the other thing. I think people in community, they think, "Well, I haven't done a community because I don't know enough."
I would love for you to share from your perspective, like how many levels of community you feel an individual should have, especially someone in business. I know that I have, a few insights on that, but I'd love to get your feedback, when it comes to just us as women, business owners, business owners in general, but of course we talking to our ladies. So just getting your feedback on what type of communities should we be involved in? How intentional should we be when it comes to professional, personal? What's your input on that?
Wow. Well, that is a big fat topic, especially since Skool has introduced tiers
Mhm.
now, and we can have 3 of them. But, really, even back in the day when people were hard coding it all, you'd have people do 2 levels and 3 levels, and I was always very against it. I had seen that play out in the blogging community that I played. They did a bunch of consulting, and where it led was create a higher tier, create 2 tracks, that'd be like
Mhm.
newbie track and a higher tier, and they ended up killing it because
Mm.
it creates a caste system, and they just didn't like the dynamic of community being sort of split into you're in this club and you're in that club.
Yeah. Kinda
So I was
separation, like,
really
I think I'm better
yeah.
than because I'm in this tier and yeah, I can see that.
So I was very leery of it for like ever about doing that. And I did an upsell where it was like a program that
Mhm.
ran for 6 months. To me, it wasn't another tier, it was
Right.
another thing
It was
altogether.
another exactly.
But yeah, now that school has made it easy to do this in a lot of different ways, here's what I'm seeing. A lot of the people making the most money on Skool have a free community and they just upsell out of it. You go in their classroom and all this stuff is gated off and they're coaching and whatever all
Yeah.
else. Or before the tiers, they would have a free community that drove to the paid community that was over on another planet. And I mean, it really depends on what you're aiming to do with it. What kind of upsells do you have? Is it the kind of thing where you have sort of newbies and they established people don't really wanna have to talk to them, you know,
Right.
and do go over the 101 level things over and over, and they would like to find their own peers. That's where, maybe a different layer that has some exclusive events for it is important, and or it's maybe you're selling $10,000 coaching packages out of that, and you can just catalyze a ton of free people who get to know you, and you don't need another tier of a community. So I was a huge non-fan of free because I had also been taught to never do free,
Mhm.
that free people are not buyers, they're never gonna open their wallets, this is bad. Don't do free ebooks. But I kept seeing people on Skool getting these huge free communities together and, upselling them usually. And so around last November, I opened a free tier, and I'm a convert to the idea that this is a way to get to know some more people
Yeah.
who might buy from you. It addresses the trust crisis we are all dealing with, that there is a million scams, bots,
Right.
Russians online pretending to be things they're not, and we don't know who to trust anymore.
Mhm.
And when you're in a community talking to the founder every day, seeing them talking about
Yeah.
both personal and professional things, and all the successful people I know do talk somewhat about their own personal life.
Right.
And I talk about van life because everyone is fascinated,
Yeah, I was
mostly.
actually gonna ask you about that too. Like, since you the new community and things like that, how has things been going for you? And like, how are you separating, what you share in community versus, what you still keep private?
I don't talk about my kids a whole lot who have special needs. That's their story to tell.
Right, right.
But as far as what my husband and I are doing and where we are, and the other week it was like 97 degrees all week.
Oof.
We're at a lake in Arizona.
Lucky, lucky.
And, well, we decided that we can't we're at a campsite where we can't use electricity. There's no hookups, and so we
Mm,
can't run our air conditioning. We don't have enough power on solar for that. So we were just toughing it out, and we decided that if we saw that in the forecast again, we would, like, go to Flagstaff up in the mountains.
okay,
We would go
okay.
somewhere cooler. That was unpleasant. My husband was very cranky because he doesn't drink enough. He thinks he's a camel, and he doesn't drink, and then he would get really dehydrated and cranky. So, any of that is fair game as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned. And just if I had known how interested people were in doing this type of digital nomad lifestyle, I probably would have sold the house 3 years sooner and gone
Yeah.
full time sooner than we did,
Right.
because it's amazing
Right.
how
I bet.
fascinated people are by it.
Yeah.
But,
There's a
yeah,
lot
the
of people
thing is,
now, so it's like
people are thinking about just moving to a different country,
yeah.
about know people who are just doing trusted house sitters and going from pet
Yep.
sit to pet sit, and that is their whole lifestyle. There is no real need for anyone to be any particular place anymore,
Right.
really, like,
That's true.
almost never. I mean,
That's
it
true.
makes the times we do get together in actual real life really special and powerful and impactful. But as far as the day to day, this whole
Yeah.
we're ordering you all to come back into the office, I think those companies are crazy, because that is the
Good
biggest
luck, good luck.
commuting is the biggest productivity suck ever, just
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what they're thinking.
No, I don't either. That's
Yeah,
a whole another topic that I don't know. I
yeah,
wanna ask you one final question before we get out of here, and I just wanna
shoot.
know, what does success look like for you now beyond the money and the metrics?
Mm. Well, just getting to be where I wanna be,
Yeah.
and, I manage our investments is one of my jobs, and just knowing in this time of chaos that I, like, have resources, that I didn't just close the doors and I was able to have an exit, and, you know, I just want this for everybody. People in America have nothing saved for retirement. It's
Right.
really, and when you live RV lifestyle, I get to meet those people and really see how they are trying to live on 1,700 bucks a month of Social
Yeah.
Security. And it is really not what you want, folks. You want more options. You want more
We have them.
flexibility.
We have them,
Yeah.
people. We have them. Ask the right questions. Ask, inquire, be open. What I want us to really get out of doing is hiding our money stories and not talking about that and hiding our stories,
Yeah.
period, because I feel like we're now in a time where community is key. So whether it's an online community that you're joining, it's an RV community, it is a community of fellow coaches. I have several different levels of community from in-person communities
Same.
through women networking events and women community, women organizations, from my community right here at UPM Business Suites with my other businesses that I, as managing operator, operate in here, as other coaches virtually, my online upgraded mindsets women's circle. My mentor a couple years ago called me a hub, and I did not realize at that time what that meant, but I know exactly and I walk in that now. I love community. I love building it, whether it's a free community or paid community. I love building and being in community. So I want people to understand the importance of that, especially when it comes to our well-being, our mental health, our physical health. Get yourself involved in community, whether you're growing a business, get in communities that are going to help you where the resources are abundant. Carol has a great community. The link to join will be listed in the show notes. And if you have questions, you can always reach out to her team to learn more about that. But Carol, I think that you have taken something that we didn't realize we needed 15 years ago, and you're continuing to evolve that, and that is the power of community, and I love that.
Community is what's missing
Yeah.
for so many people, yeah, we houses got bigger and bigger, and now you have a big swing set in your backyard instead of going to the playground where you meet other parents, and
Yeah.
just in every phase of life, we're looking at our phones instead of talking to people.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, the reactions you get from people of just like, "Oh my god, at last, I have found the people who get me." People are so excited, and this is another reason why to me paid community is, like, the business
Yeah.
model of the future, because this has gone out of a lot of our in real life society, and a lot of us are trying to do things that nobody in your small town or the
Mhm.
country where you're expat living or whatever may even understand,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
People are like, "But why don't you just get a job?" You know? And when you are with the people who get it, it's like my mom is taking care of my 94-year-old dad who doesn't remember what he said to you the minute it leaves his mouth, he
Right.
doesn't remember. He says it again. And I'm like, "Where is your caregiver support network?"
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and she's like, "Well, once a week I go to my crafting thing and we kinda talk about it." And I'm like, "No, no, I mean, like, for real
Yep.
people who are dealing
You
with
can
really
relate.
difficult caregiving situations, you
Absolutely.
need that support."
Yep.
And I don't know, I feel like our culture isn't that great about asking for help, you
Oh,
know,
yeah, that
and admitting we need help. But when you get it, when my kids were younger, we were in a family support group for families
mhm.
like ours with kids like ours, and it absolutely saved our lives. So maybe that's another way that
Absolutely.
I really bonded onto community.
Yeah. You're right, I agree.
That's right.
We have gotten away from community, and I
Yeah.
really do advocate for us to continue to do that, whether it is
Yeah.
listen, y'all, we're gonna wrap up here, but let me tell you, community is important. Whatever you're going through, I can almost guarantee 100% there is somebody out there that is experiencing may not be exactly how you are, but enough that they can relate and support you as you overcome, as you go through things from business perspectives, from personal perspectives, your mental health perspectives, your physical health perspectives. Just like you go to the gym and you join fitness clubs and stuff like that. When it comes to our mental well being, there are also organizations out there that do those things as well. When it comes to your business, if you are a marketer, you better get in a marketing community. If you are a coach, get in a coaching community. If you're a freelance writer, get in a freelance writing community. Really understand how the power of community will continue to allow you to pivot.
Yeah, don't
Carol,
build alone.
don't build alone. I love it. You have been amazing. You have dropped so much knowledge on this show. I'm forever grateful for that. Please let us know where we can find you at on socials.
LinkedIn is actually where I hang out. You can see me there You can watch me talk about van life and my other business, which is ghostwriting books for thought leaders, which I also do on the road.
Yeah, we didn't even
And,
get into that part, so
yeah,
yeah.
that's my whole other life, but, I have officially failed retirement pretty badly here, but it's hard particularly it was hard to not come back to community because it's so
Yeah,
powerful for that ability to impact many people
I agree.
and help them. It's kind of addictive.
But yes,
You wanna it's just better than better is what I
it
used
is.
to
I
say.
agree with you. I
Helping
agree with you.
somebody else make more money,
Yeah.
build the business they want, I love it.
Yeah. Well, yes. So all of her information will be available, you guys. Do not hesitate to follow her over on LinkedIn, learn more about van life for her, and learn more about everything that she's doing in her retirement. But I want to say thank you so much for joining me here on the Woman's Hustle. Listen, y'all, it is all about how you build yours. But one thing I will end with is make sure that you do. All right. Make sure
Right
you
on.
have subscribed to the channel. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Talk to you next time.